Hi, welcome to the channel. This is the Womb Goddess. My name is Susanna Sun, bringing through messages today of peace, love, and joy for the Divine Collective. This is love messages. This is rebirth messages. A little bit of astrology thrown in there because you know I'd be tracking Venus. So let's see what our main energy is for today. And if you are catching the replay of this, then you'll be experiencing some sort of wave of this energy, and you'll just apply it to yourself based on that. But it is a timeless reading, and it can apply to you in whatever way that you wish to receive it. If it doesn't feel good for you, doesn't relate for you, then you can just let that part of it go, okay? Our main energy today for the Divine Collective, I'm so excited to receive this, and this is how it's been all week for me. Even though we have this really challenging square with Venus and Mars, it's still completely giving loving energy. And I know, we're feeling the tension. It's absolutely tension, but it's kind of like good tension. You need enough tension that you can actually hear the sound moving on that string on the violin. But if it's too loose, you don't feel anything. If it's too tight, it just breaks, right? Like you need that in between space where there is definitely tension, but there's also enough flexibility that it's flowing. And that's what this feels like. It's this overflowing feeling, especially from our hearts, with Venus having this sort of, how would I say, it's like she's got her corner, and she's filling up that space, and she's got Lilith nearby, and it's this sort of, hey, remember me? You can't forget about me, because there's this chaos happening in that other corner over there with Mars. And there's another chaos happening in that other corner there with Neptune. And I'm over here, Venus is like, don't forget about me, right? Because when the other energies are really blowing up, it can be really easy for some of us to forget about taking care of ourselves. And Venus is all about self-love, about beauty, about nourishment, about healing. And it does require prioritization. And that's what we're kind of battling with internally. So let's look at that battle. I do want to see one for the masculine, one for the feminine, because this can definitely have a relationship mirror as well with Mars and Venus, depending on what type of relationship you're looking at, but you can look at it internally or externally, right? So I do have Venus on my left and Mars on my right. Let's start with Mars. So this will be the masculine energy, whether that's internally or externally, or likely both, right? So we have the Fool for the Mars, the masculine inside of us. Definitely feels accurate. I know there's this understanding that we are really just figuring it out and we're beginning something, and there's this part of the tension here is the humility of it, the humility of saying, I don't know what I'm doing and I need some help. You're right. You feel that tension. It's like, yes, but no, but yes. And as we are really allowing ourselves to come into this mature masculine version of ourselves, or with our person, right? There is this sort of it feels like a relief in the mind, but it can also feel like a sort of falling away of old stories about who we are and what we're here for, right? We're talking some about our identities in terms of gender, right? This is definitely a controversial conversation, but we are talking about the stereotypical hetero type of conversation with polarity, right? And this tower, this breaking away in our minds, it feels like a sort of disintegration of those blurry areas where we weren't really fully able to discern. And I will say this in terms of our self-identity, as well as in terms of our relationship to our person, because in codependent situations previously, we had this sort of forgetting about who we really are, and then having to reconcile that in a healing experience later on. So in this new version of it, we're having those old stories fall away. And it's like, wait a second, that was never it. That was never what I actually wanted. Yeah, and for the masculine, we do still have this sort of, it goes along with that Fool energy as well, this sort of new, like, wondering if we really have enough to offer for it to be worth the requests that we're asking in return, right? We're talking about what our offering is, what it is that we're giving with our masculine energy. And this offer, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's enough. You know, there's this humility behind it, but there's also this almost hesitant, like, this is the best that I could do, and I wish that I could do more, but here it is. And yeah, there's this hesitancy towards that. So that can be part of the challenge that's happening with the masculine right now, as well as we have the Four of Swords reversed, which it's more balanced than it used to be, right? But we're definitely still feeling that exhaustion. It's still in the field of overworking ourselves and sort of putting ourselves out of balance with our actual nature. And so the masculine finally is more on a roll again, and feeling that energy coming in and being able to actually move things and do things and have something show up that feels like a result for what the energy output has been. So that is starting to come in, but it's sort of at the tail end of the exhaustion still. So that's the masculine side. The feminine for Venus, we have, of course, there's that square off, right? That's definitely what Venus looks like with Mars right now. I see Mars definitely has a lot more of this kind of like energetic support around it, but Venus has got the high ground. And I see Venus like this with Lilith as well, in this sort of embracing of the dark feminine. And I see this collectively happening because the dark feminine is the empowerment. It's the woman who is willing to go into her primal wild nature, the ability to create and destroy life. This is, you know, chaos energy, her ability to tap into that and to bring forth life. So Venus is in that sort of battle experience right now, where she's really like proving how powerful she is. And what she's doing, the way she's doing it, I see is sort of funny. It's kind of like taunting us. It's like showing us a whole bunch of different versions of reality that could be, and requiring us to make our own choice about it. And this is funny because when we have this sort of tension, we often, I think a lot of people, what happens is we end up kind of just feeling overwhelmed by it. And the overwhelm, I do want to look into that because I did see that coming up this week, the second half of the week, a sort of overwhelm, intensity, a lot of people's nervous systems being really blown out, and a lot of potential for really harsh words or actions to be said or taken. So that's what I wanted to look into there. And this, I do see this as a sort of decision, right? We can be very intentional about what we're doing with this energy this week, because it is very intense energy. And when we're talking about the masculine and the feminine coming into union, we're talking about creative explosions. This could be pregnancies. This could be new businesses starting up. This could be wild fights that you never recover from, and words that you can never take back. So it depends what you do with the energy, and of course what it is that you've been building up to until getting to this point. But it is going to have to be something that you choose what to do with it. If you want to do something with it that has an actual positive effect in the world, then you need to make a conscious choice about this energy. Okay? So I'm curious, let me know in the comments if you've been feeling that intensity coming up with the masculine and the feminine coming into union, and you're feeling there's so much energy here. What am I going to do with it? If you're feeling overwhelmed with it, or do you have somewhere that you know where you want to put it? So let's look at it. Where are we wanting to direct that energy? Of course, we have the Magician. This is pretty obvious, isn't it? I love it when it comes out so clearly for us. This is to remind us of our magic, to remind us of the divine power and potential that we hold within our bodies. This is the frequency of the future human. We're remembering actually who we truly are as divinely inspired beings. That means that we are able to create our realities. That means that this creative potential that we hold in our bodies, in our wombs, is able to create realities. We use our voices in order to speak it into existence. And when we do that, we are literally creating reality. So this creative power is really the main conversation, and this is the main reason that Lilith shows up for anybody. So this empowerment is really feeling like it's sort of hitting a peak energy this weekend. So as we kind of ride it, I'm very curious to hear how it feels for you and what kind of vibes you're getting from it, but also I do want to be intentional and say to be really aware of where you're looking at your energy, where you're putting your energy this week, because it will have a very intense peak coming up. Depending on where you directed it will result in different effect. So let me know if you are feeling that and how that is for you personally. I think that's enough for today. I'm so grateful to have tuned in with you. Thank you so much. Wishing you a most beautiful time as Mercury goes into her direct movement and really starts moving and getting this all of this stuff flushed out, right? So it's all moving again. And I'm so happy to be here with you. If you'd like to dive in with me personally, I do have some space for private readings. You just find that link somewhere around my stuff, and we will do that. Wishing you so much love, many blessings.